Hi there. If you're going to try the handout named Central Limit Theorem Simulation, that handout refers to a program that we wrote on our calculator named CLTSIM. CLT stands for Central Limit Theorem and SIM for Simulation. Let me write that program with you so that you can work on that handout. So press the program button. Select the option New and press Enter. I will name it as on the handout, CLT SIM. I believe a program should start by clearing the home screen so that we have a clean slate to start with. So press the program button, right arrow to I/O for input, output. If you scroll down, the CLRHOME, clear home option is what you want. Press enter twice to bring it into the program and then give you a new line in the program. So the first thing I need to do is request some input from the user. The input will be the number of sample means that I want the calculator to generate from the distribution we're going to use. So we'll press program, select IO. The first option is input, press enter. And I need to store that input into a variable. I'm going to use X, so here's the X button. Press enter. In a little bit, I'll explain what this second variable is for. The variable is A, and I need to give it an initial value. So I'm going to take the number 1, and I'm going to store it into the variable A. So alpha button, math button will give you the A. Press enter. So now I'm going to create a statement. It's called a while statement. And this while statement will allow me to repeat a process over and over. It will allow me to generate a number of means and store them. That's what we want. So I'm going to press the program button. Scroll down to the while option. And I need to give it a condition. The condition is A is less than or equal to X. And I'll explain that in a little bit. So alpha math to get A. The less than or equal to symbol, second button, math button, will take you to the test options. I want less than or equal to. Here's X. I'll press enter. I'll explain what that A less than or equal to X represents in just a little bit. So let's select a sample, a random sample of 20 values using the random command. Let me show you. So we're going to generate a sequence. Second button, stat button. Press the right arrow to OPS. Option 5 is the sequence option. Press enter. So these are the values that you need to enter into the command if you do not see this menu. If rather you just see SEQ with parentheses, then what you want to do is enter these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values with commas in between them. I'll show that in just a second. Let me show you where these values come from. So here's the RAND option. That comes from pressing the second button, rather not the second button, excuse me. Press the second button again, so it's not pressed. We want the math button. So we'll go over here to PRB, the probability menu. I want the RAND option. Press enter. So in order to get the X here, just press the X button. And of course, there's a 1 and a 20 and a 1. You can type those in just like we see them and press paste. Now, if you don't see this menu, that's okay. This is the way you'll type it directly on the screen. So you want to put RAND here. You get that by pressing the math button and then going over to the PRB menu, and RAND should be option number 1. Then you can put in a comma and an X, comma 1, comma 20, comma 1, close your parentheses. So this is generating 20 values that are random numbers from 0 to 1. And we're going to store them into, store button, store them into list 1, second 1, and press enter. So we have our 20 randomly selected values in the interval from 0 to 1. They've been put into list 1, and I want to find their mean. So second button, stat button, over to math. The mean option is option 3. Press enter. I want to take the mean of what's in list 1, second one, close the parentheses, and I want to store it into, oops, I got an extra arrow there. I'll press the left arrow and press the delete key. Don't press the clear key, because the clear key, if you would make a mistake like that, will eliminate the entire line. So I just highlighted what I wanted to get rid of, and I pressed the delete key. So I want to store this into list 2, second 2, and then in parentheses, I need to put A. So open parentheses, alpha math button gives me the A, and close my parentheses, press enter. So now what I want to do, I need to make an adjustment to A, and I'll explain what all this does in just a second. So alpha math gives me A plus 1. I want to store that into A, alpha A, and press enter. So now the last thing I need to do is tell the calculator when the program is done. So I want to enter the command end right here. So I'll press the program button. End should be the very last option that you see under the CTL menu. That stands for control. Press enter. So let me explain what this program does. So I'm going to go over here to the bigger screen. So the initial value of A is 1. So while that 1 is less than or equal to the value of x that I entered in the screen, let's say I entered 5 on the screen. What that 5 represents is the number of sample means that I want the calculator to create and store for me. So if 1 is less than or equal to 5, which that's a true statement, this command right here will select randomly 20 values between 0 and 1 and store them into list 1. So then this command here will take the mean of those values in list 1 and it will store it into list 2. But remember, the value of A is 1. So list 2 entry number 1 is where that mean is stored. But then look what happens to A. We take A and we add 1 to it, which makes 2, and we store that back into A. So now notice 2 is still less than or equal to 5. So this will happen again. I will get another 20 values stored into list 1. I'll take their mean. That's stored into list 2, but now A is 2. So it will be stored into the second entry of list 2. 2 then plus 1 will make 3, so now 3 is stored into A. And this process continues again. 3 is less than or equal to x, so I have a new mean that's now stored into position, or the third entry in list 2. Then A becomes 4. The process goes through again, and I have a fourth mean stored in list 2. A becomes 5. 5 is less than or equal to 5, so there's another mean that's stored into list 2. That is my fifth mean stored into list 2. That's the number that I wanted if I entered 5 on the home screen. Then 5 plus 1 makes 6. That's what's stored into A. But notice 6 is not less than or equal to 5. So these commands only execute while A is less than or equal to 5. 6, though, is not less than or equal to 5. And so instead of executing these commands, the program goes to this last step and ends this while sequence. That's all the program does. We should test it. So the program is automatically saved. So press second mode. We'll go to the home screen. To execute the program, press the program button. You want to go down and select option 2. This is CLTSIM for Central Limit Theorem Simulation. Press enter. So now you've brought the program command to the home screen. Press enter again to execute it, and all you'll see is a question mark with a flashing cursor. This is where we want to enter the number of means that we want to generate and store from this interval between 0 and 1. We're going to randomly select 20 values. That's what the program does. Randomly selects 20 values between 0 and 1 and calculates their mean. How many times do I want that to happen? I want it to happen 5 times. Press enter. You'll have to let the calculator scroll through for a minute. When it says done, you know that your program has worked correctly. So if you want to see those means, if you press the stat button and press enter, those means have been stored into list 2. Here are the 5 means. Now, notice something to be careful of. I already had data stored into list 2. So I can see that because I have more than 5 values in list 2. That's not a problem in terms of running the program, but it is important to note, and it says this in the Central Limit Theorem Simulation handout, it is important then to note that before you do anything on that handout, one of the very first steps is to clear the lists. So again, if I go through here and highlight L1 and press clear and press the down arrow, highlight list 2, press clear and press the down arrow. Again, that's not something you have to do to run the program. It is something you have to do though in order to use this program on the handout. Those instructions are on the handout. So if I press second mode and go back to the home screen, just so you can see the actual output here, we really should just see 5 means in list 2. Let's try this again. So I can press the program button, go down to option 2 and run the program again. So if I want to generate 5 means, I'll enter 5. You could enter any number you like. If you wanted 10 means, you could enter 10. On the Central Limit Theorem Simulation handout, you'll generate 25 means at one point, 50 means at one point. I really wouldn't do any more than that. There's no need to in terms of this simulation. So again, pressing enter, it'll chug through for a little bit, and when it says done, on the handout, eventually you'll graph these means, but for now, I just want to show you that they've been generated and stored. That's all we need from the program. So if we press the stat button and press enter, there we go. So our data was being stored into list 1 so that we could progressively calculate these means. So these are the means. There should be 5 of them. That's just what we've got. That's just what we want the program to do. Again, this is the program you need in order to complete the Central Limit Theorem Simulation handout. Hope this has been helpful.